Let's be real for a second. You wake up, you grab your phone, scroll through other people's lives, and somewhere deep down you whisper to yourself, "What am I even doing with my life?" You see people who seem to know exactly where they're going. They're building businesses, getting fit, traveling, smiling. And you? You just feel stuck. Like your life's on autopilot. You're not depressed, not exactly. You're just empty, directionless. And that's one of the scariest feelings a human can experience. Not pain, not sadness, but the absence of meaning. But here's the truth. If you feel like you have no purpose, it's not because you're broken. It's because your brain, the same machine that helped humans survive for thousands of years, is wired for survival, not fulfillment. So unless you understand how that wiring works, you'll always feel lost, no matter how much you try to find yourself. And today we're going to fix that, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why you feel this way, and more importantly, how to get your purpose back. Not by chasing some big dream you can't touch yet, but by rewiring the way your mind thinks, step by step. Let's start here. Most people think purpose is something you find, like it's hiding somewhere out there waiting for you to stumble upon it. But psychology tells us something different. Purpose isn't found, it's built. Think about it. Kids don't wake up knowing they'll be doctors, artists, or entrepreneurs. They start doing something small, drawing, fixing, helping, creating, and meaning starts to form through action. Dr. Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist who survived the Holocaust, wrote in his book Man's Search for Meaning that purpose isn't something you ask life for. It's something life asks from you. He said, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." And he was right, because if you don't feel like you matter, everything else feels pointless. Work, money, even happiness. That's why people who seem to have everything still feel empty, because their brain isn't wired toward impact anymore. It's wired toward comfort, and comfort is the enemy of purpose. Let me explain something important: the psychology of meaning collapse. When people say they have no purpose, what they're actually experiencing is a psychological state where the reward system of the brain is understimulated. Your brain's reward chemical, dopamine, spikes when you have clear goals, even small ones. When you don't have goals, your dopamine baseline drops. You stop feeling anticipation. You stop getting that little spark that says, something exciting is coming. And when that system stays flat for too long, the brain starts shutting down motivation altogether. You stop wanting things because wanting feels useless. You stop trying because trying hasn't worked before. And eventually, you start believing that maybe this is just who you are, someone who doesn't have a purpose. But that's a lie your brain tells you. It's not who you are. It's just what repetition and inactivity have trained your mind to believe. So, the first step isn't to find your purpose. It's to retrain your brain to feel purpose again. Here's how. Step 1. Reignite the feedback loop. Your brain needs evidence that your actions matter. Every time you do something that leads to a result, even a tiny one, your mind creates a feedback loop. Action, reward, motivation, more action. That's the foundation of purpose. But when people lose purpose, that loop breaks. They stop taking action because they don't feel motivated, but they forget that motivation comes after action, not before it. A study from the University of Chicago found that motivation spikes after we start doing a task, not before. That means the key to purpose isn't feeling ready. It's starting when you don't. So start small. Seriously, ridiculously small. Clean your desk. Go for a 5-minute walk. Write 1 paragraph. What you're doing isn't just being productive. You're rebuilding your brain's trust in yourself. You're proving that your actions can change your world, even if it's a tiny part of it. And once your brain starts to see that cause and effect relationship again, it starts producing dopamine naturally. That's when purpose starts creeping back in. Step 2. Detach purpose from perfection. A massive psychological trap people fall into is thinking purpose has to be grand. Like if it's not saving lives or changing the world, it doesn't count. That's wrong. Purpose isn't about scale. It's about connection. Research from Stanford University found that people who feel purposeful aren't necessarily those with big goals. They're the ones who feel connected to their work, their relationships, or a cause bigger than themselves. It doesn't matter if you're building a business, raising a child, or taking care of your garden. If it gives you a sense of why, it's purpose. But perfection kills that. Because when you're obsessed with doing something perfectly, you stop doing it consistently. You overthink, you compare, you quit. And then you tell yourself you're lost, when really, you just stopped allowing yourself to be imperfect. Your brain thrives on progress, not perfection. Every time you move, even imperfectly, you're feeding your purpose muscle. Because purpose is a practice, not a discovery. Step 3. Stop outsourcing your meaning. You know what kills more dreams than failure? Comparison. Scrolling through social media has trained your brain to believe that meaning equals visibility. That your purpose must look like other people's success. That if no one sees it, it doesn't count. But here's the thing. Your brain doesn't need other people to validate your purpose. It needs you to experience it. In 2023, a study in Nature Human Behavior showed that external validation actually weakens the internal reward response. That means the more you depend on likes, recognition, or approval, the less your brain feels genuine satisfaction. Purpose becomes performance. You start living to prove, not to live. And that's when emptiness sets in, because you're chasing attention, not meaning. The solution? Turn inward. Ask yourself, if no one saw what I did today, would it still matter to me? If the answer's yes, you're closer to purpose than you think. Step 4. Understand your identity loops. Your sense of purpose is tied to how you see yourself. Psychology calls this your self-schema, the mental story you tell yourself about who you are. If you constantly say, I'm lost, I'm lazy, or I don't know what I want, your brain believes you. It adjusts your behavior to match that identity. That's why you can't think your way into purpose. You have to act your way into a new identity. Here's the psychology behind it. When you take small, consistent actions that align with a new identity, your brain begins to rewire your self-image. It's called neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself based on what you repeatedly do. So if you want to feel purposeful, start acting like someone who has purpose. Even if you don't feel it yet. Get up early. Plan your day. Learn something. Help someone. These small identity-confirming actions tell your brain, this is who I am now, and your brain starts catching up. You don't wait to believe. You act until belief catches fire. Step 5. Redefine success as contribution, not comparison. We've been trained to think purpose means being the best. But psychologically, the most fulfilled people aren't the ones at the top. They're the ones who feel useful. A Harvard study that followed people for 75 years found that the strongest predictor of fulfillment wasn't money, achievement, or fame. It was connection and contribution. People who felt they contributed to others, even in small ways, lived longer, happier, and more motivated lives. That's the secret no one talks about. Your purpose grows when it serves something outside of you. So instead of asking, what do I want from life? Ask, what does life need from me today? When you wake up thinking that way, your brain starts focusing outward, and that instantly gives meaning to your day. Step 6. Get uncomfortable on purpose. Purpose hides in discomfort. You don't find it while scrolling, resting, or waiting for inspiration. You find it when you're stretched, physically, mentally, emotionally. Here's why. The human brain releases dopamine not just from reward, but from progress toward challenge. When you do something difficult, a cold shower, a workout, a new skill, your brain rewards you for effort, not outcome. That's how growth rewires your reward system. So if you feel lost, stop looking for clarity. Look for challenge. Do hard things. Because every time you face something uncomfortable and come out alive, your brain relearns that you're capable, resilient, evolving. And capability breeds purpose. Comfort keeps you numb. Challenge wakes you up. Step 7. Stop waiting for motivation. Build discipline. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. You won't always feel inspired. You won't always feel ready. And that's okay. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a choice. And the people who live with purpose aren't the ones who feel like it. They're the ones who do it anyway. When your brain learns that action doesn't depend on mood, it starts trusting you again. And when your mind trusts you, your sense of purpose deepens. Because purpose grows out of self-respect. And self-respect grows out of consistency. Step 8. Create a personal mission statement. Here's a psychological trick that instantly sharpens your focus. Write down a one-sentence mission statement that answers this. What kind of person do I want to be, and how do I want to make others feel? It doesn't need to sound fancy. It can be something like, I want to leave people better than I found them. Or, I want to build things that make others' lives easier. That mission becomes your compass. Every time you feel lost, look at it and ask, am I moving toward this today, even 1%? Purpose isn't built in leaps. It's built in inches. And those inches add up when you know what direction they're going. Step 9. Forgive your past self. One of the biggest blocks to purpose is guilt. You keep replaying what you should have done, the time you wasted, the opportunities you missed, the mistakes you made. But here's the thing. You can't build a new life while dragging a corpse of your old one. Psychology calls this self-concept repair. It means your future self can't grow if your current self is still ashamed of your past. Forgive yourself. Not because what happened was okay, but because holding on to it keeps you stuck. You can't move toward meaning while staring at your mistakes. You move forward by deciding, right now, that your story isn't over yet. Step 10. Realize purpose is not a destination, it's a direction. You will never arrive at purpose. It's not something you achieve and keep forever. It's something you walk toward every single day. Some days you'll feel lost again. That's normal. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you're growing into a new stage of your life, and the old purpose no longer fits. You evolve, and so does your meaning. Psychologists call this meaning adaptation. Your purpose shifts as your identity and values change. So instead of asking, what's my purpose? Ask, what's my purpose for this season of my life? Because each chapter has its own reason. Maybe right now your purpose isn't to change the world. Maybe it's to learn discipline, to rebuild confidence, to help one person, even if that person is you. And that counts. So here's the truth. Feeling like you have no purpose doesn't mean you're lost forever. It means your brain is waiting for you to lead it again, waiting for you to show it evidence, through action, that life still has meaning. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the first step with faith that purpose grows in motion. The people who live with purpose aren't lucky. They're disciplined. They move even when it's dark. They act before they feel ready. They keep going when it's boring, uncomfortable, invisible. And that's what builds purpose. Because purpose isn't found in comfort, clarity, or success. It's found in movement, in showing up, in choosing to create meaning, even when it's easier not to. So, stop waiting for your life to feel meaningful. Start doing the things that make it meaningful. And one day soon, you'll wake up and realize, you're not searching for purpose anymore. You're living it.